Hi guys, I'm James McIntosh and today I'm joined with a Southern League hero. I met this man when he was at Gosport and it's safe to say he's not only a great footballer but a brilliant guy, and that's why I think today's episode is going to be absolutely brilliant, as today I have on Poole forward Rafa Ramos. Rafa, how are you doing, mate?
I'm very good, man. Thanks for having me on board, man. But yeah, I'm very good, man. Can't complain.
Well, Rafa, we were speaking a bit about even before we got into this episode, the amount of Gosport fans I've had message me, talk to me about getting you on. It's like you're a little bit of a local celebrity around here.
No, 100%. The amount of love I get from the gospel fans since I left, and of course during my time there, it's been unbelievable. And every time I see them or bump into them, it's always love, and they want me to come back. And yeah, it's unbelievable. It's great.
Well, in this episode, we're going to look at everything, Rafa. We're going to look at how you got into football, where you are now, and even future, maybe looking at whether we could see you as a manager one day. So we have to tune in for the rest of the episode. But Rafa, take me back to when you were young. How did you originally get into the game?
Yeah, growing up where I came from in Portugal, in a small like neighborhood called Outorella, I used to play with my friends all the time. And then, of course, as growing up as a kid, I feel like every boy wants to be a footballer. And yeah, and then just started at a local team where I grew up called Outorella. And then from there, just kept on going and going.
Well, Rafa, I remember when meeting you for the first time, you were an absolute giant when I met you. I'm guessing you were quite tall when you were younger as well. Did you realise that could have been a skill quite early on?
Nah, the thing is, when I was younger, I literally wasn't tall. I literally was just skinny,
Really?
small.
Wow.
Yeah, it's weird. And then, of course, I grew when I came to the UK when I was like 15. And then, of course, I had to adapt to the football here, which was quite physical and intense compared to Portugal. And then I just start growing out of nowhere. But when I was younger, I literally was small.
Wow, you give me a little bit of hope. I'm small, pretty skinny. But okay,
Yeah,
there's hope I can get a big man one day.
that's
But you
it.
mentioned about that transition there, Rafa. So when you made the move to England, what was that like trying to adapt to the country? I'm not sure if you spoke any English at that point. Was it hard adjusting?
Yeah, it was a bit hard adjusting. Of course, I lived in Belfast for like 4 years, five when I was younger with my mum. So I kind of knew a bit of English. And then, of course, initially when I came to Southampton, it was just to come and visit my dad because I hadn't seen him for a long time. So it was just meant to be a holiday. And then I went to play. My dad took me to like a youth club by his house to play football with some guys. And at the time, there was like a Saints scout and coach at Southampton. And then he started talking to me and stuff. And then he's like, "Oh, do you want to do a scholarship with Saints?" And then at the time I was 15. And then yeah, I said, "Of course, I'm just here on holiday, but you can speak to my dad and then see what he thinks." And then yeah, and then next thing you know, I did a 3 year scholarship with Saints.
What was that like coming through the ranks at Saints then?
No, it was good because it was like a futsal scholarship. So I did that for 3 years. It was like a education of football. And then, yeah, it was decent and like something different than what I was used to back home. So it was like a different environment. And of course, yeah, it was very good. I enjoyed it a lot.
So was that the hope to go pro one day in football?
Yeah, I've always had, of course, the hopes of being a professional footballer and stuff like that. And growing up, I've always played football for teams and academies and stuff like that. So, of course, my goal was always to get as high as I can. But then, of course, as you go, there's like barriers that affect your life and stuff, and then slowly, ups and downs. And now, of course, for the last few years, I've been working my way up, and it's going well so far. So yeah, can't complain.
And can you take me back to your first steps in non-league? I know a lot of pros when dropping down, so a lot of ex-academy players, as you mentioned there, they're
Yeah,
quite complacent when dropping down to non-league. They don't really think much of it, and they think it's going to be a walk in the park. When
yeah,
you did get in, what was it like, and was it harder than what you originally thought?
yeah. Of course, like I said, because of course, when I got to the UK, I struggled a lot to adapt to the intensity and the physicality of the sport here. So of course, when I started Andover New Street, that's the first stint
Hmm.
at men's football. Because I started showing under 23s and stuff, so I came through the Surely ranks. And then, yeah, then I went into Andover New Street to the first team and then start scoring loads of goals there. And then, of course, COVID came and then it stopped. And then, of course, after COVID, went into Blackfield Langley, scored more goals from there, Portchester. And then since then, just been working my way up, really just scoring goals wherever I've been.
You mentioned about Andover New Street there, so that was the start of your career, and you were
Yeah.
producing some pretty good stats early on for your first few seasons. I think I've got one stat here: 12 goals in your first 11 games. Not bad
Yeah, yeah.
going at all.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because of course, like I said, I was playing for Shoaling under 23s, and I was just scoring loads of goals. And then, of course, the Andover New Street manager got a hold of Sholing. And then, of course, I went to the first team there and adapted quite quick. I just start scoring goals. And then from there, of course, Portchester were doing quite well. And then Portchester came in for me after the Andover because I went Blackfield. And then, yeah, literally just been scoring goals. I've always scored goals, even since a youngster. I literally I've been scoring goals since I can remember, really.
Well, I want to take you back to one game in particular. It was against Tottenham and Elling. I think you got 5 goals in one game.
Yeah. I think that was, if I'm not wrong, I think that was for Andover New Street.
Yeah, still Andover New Street, yeah.
Yeah. I remember that game. And the thing is, that game as well, it was crazy because I literally scored with my left foot, with my right foot, a header. So I scored literally like different goals, and it was just a crazy game. And I remember, I think that's the first game where I've scored like the most goals in a game, and I loved it, to be fair. It was very good.
And it seemed like it was the perfect place to really start developing your career as a youngster. Once again, I want to link back to that point of a lot of academy players. They think it is going to be a walk in the park. We've got a player at Gosport, Harry Lee, and I think he said it's really been the perfect place to grow as a player. Would you agree with that statement?
100%. I feel like non-league helps a lot especially like if I'll say it to any young player coming from academies to try and get loans out to non-league teams because it'll develop you loads. We got a couple of young players at Poole Town now that, of course, been played for academies like Exeter and stuff like that, and Peterborough. And I feel like non-league is definitely set in stone to help players develop into like men's football and stuff. 100%.
And I remember the last time I spoke to you in the signing interview, you said one of the biggest characteristics that you can bring to any squad is that you're banter, you're a funny guy. A lot of players when coming down as well, they say from academy to non-league, it's hard to adjust to the men's game, the men's humour. But coming through the ranks at non-league, I suppose it helps with things like that and off the field things.
No, 100%. And I feel like I said, when I started playing football as a kid, I started because I loved the game and it was just funny and I just enjoyed playing football. So I feel like if I can bring any positivity and love and whatever to football, in men's football, because you never know, some people might look at you as, like I said, I get a lot of messages and support from like youngsters and stuff and say, oh, can I get a photo with you? Can I get this? And I feel like if you take a minute and just, you know what I mean, take a photo or speak to a fan, it might make their day and you never know. Because as a kid, when I used to go to stadiums with my granddad and stuff like that, I used to love when, of course, footballers came up to me and shook my hand and stuff like that. So I feel like if I can bring that myself and make someone's day better, then of course I'll try and do my best.
Well, we'll look at that a little bit later in the episode, Rafa, about how you've become a real fan favourite.
Yeah.
But staying on that note about the early stages of your career. So we've talked about a few of your goals early on and how you were a goal machine even early on.
Yeah.
But I want to speak about being a striker in non-league as well. So obviously, the higher up you go, the more coverage you get, don't you?
100%.
Being a striker, I feel like it's a really hard position. Unless you're scoring goals, you don't really get noticed. So how important is it, goal conversion, being a striker? Does that add a lot of extra pressure when I know a lot of strikers, they do great movement off the ball.
Yeah.
They offer a lot when it's not goals.
No, 100%. I feel like there is a lot of pressure as a striker because I feel like whatever team you go to, whatever, if you're a striker, your goal is to score goals. So that's why I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself. And of course, if I'm not scoring, I get frustrated and stuff like that because I feel like when I'm scoring, I'm happy and that's when I'm at my best. So if I can keep on scoring, then of course, yeah. But as a striker, it is a hard task, and you feel like, yeah, you need to score every game if things don't go away. Especially if you go through a drought, which every striker will, where you probably score for 10 games in a row and then you won't score for ages, and of course you keep getting angry and stuff like that. I feel like, yeah, as a striker, there is quite a lot of pressure.
And linking to that question, when you did get signed by Sholing, you couldn't really get in the first team straight away, so you struggled. You went for the under-23s, and that is why you led to you joining Andover New Street and joining on loan. Did you feel like when you went into Sholing straight away, they probably saw your goal rate, but they didn't realise maybe you weren't as strong as what you were, as what your goal rates were showing? And I suppose it's quite hard for any strikers in that sort of level to be getting into the first team.
No, 100%. And the thing is, when I was Sholing, the manager at the time of the first team was Dave Diper. And of course, he noticed me. But of course, at Sholing at the time, they had Dan Mason and Lee Ward, which are very good strikers and scored plenty of goals for Sholing. So, of course, I used to look up to them and stuff like that. And, of course, just try and score as well. Because in my head, I was like, if I keep scoring, I'll eventually get into the first team. And then, of course, I started pre-season with Sholing. They offered me a contract. And then pre-season game against Basingstoke, I did my MCL. And that's when I came back from injury. And then, of course, Andover New Street took me on loan. And then, of course, I started scoring goals. And then eventually, of course, I made my own name and by scoring goals. So then, yeah, they just didn't return to Sholing again. But Sholing will always be a big part of my career, 100%.
Well, after Andover New Street, I think you did sign for Bremerton Heath Harlequins on a dual registration. This is something else I find really interesting about non-league. You don't really hear of it higher up in the footballing pyramid of these dual registrations. But for me, it looks like a really good idea. So you can go out to a smaller team, get game time, build up, and then B, you can also play for your parent club and even one day maybe try and work your way into the first team like Sholing.
Yeah. Now, and the thing is how the Bremerton Heath thing came about. Because at Andover, I think we were first in the league at the time, and we were going to get promoted to the Wessex Prem. But then, because COVID came, our league got cancelled. It got cancelled. So, but then Bremerton Heath's league was still playing. So of course, I wanted to keep playing. So I went to Bremerton for a short time. But not long after that, COVID hit again. So we had to. Then all leagues got cancelled. So I just left Bremerton after that. But Bremerton, I was only there for a few games.
And I would imagine you mentioned COVID there. How big of a hit did that have on your career? How hard is it to stay mentally good in that stage? It could be quite easy for players to switch off.
No, 100%. COVID was really hard. I struggled a lot as well because at that time as well, like I said, I was doing well, like focused on my football and stuff. And then all of a sudden, they're telling you can't play football anymore. And of course, I was trying to stay fit and keep the same hunger and mentality. So of course, when COVID ended, then of course we were able to return back to football. I just felt like, okay, now is the time to show goals and score goals and make my way up. And luckily, it's been a blessing, and I've been able to do that really.
When you did come back from COVID, it was like another new Rafa Ramos. I think it was 6 goals in 6 games for the under-23s with Sholing. And you would go on to play for Blackfield and Langley. Watching some of your clips, you just look like I'd like to use this example of a prime Brazilian Neymar. You were running down the wings using a lot of flair. And I feel like it added a new part to your game after COVID.
No, 100%. COVID, at least you just came back a different animal. And of course, like I said, Blackfield came in for me. And Blackfield, fair, we had a very good team at the time, and it just clicked. And that's a big part of my game, as you know, is just running and of course being a powerhouse and scoring goals. And then that's when people started noticing me more. And then from Blackfield, they came to like December, and of course, like I said, Portchester came in for me. And then I think I ended that season with 31 goals. I think me and Lee Ward scored like 60, 70 goals between us, and it was just very good.
Well, before we get on to Portchester, because for me, that was a big stage of your career. You mentioned 100%. About Blackfield and Langley there, how important it was. So you had 18 goals in 22 appearances for them.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Portchester came in and you had a lot of interest. Is it hard to keep your head down when you're recording those sorts of stats and not looking elsewhere?
No, it is. It is hard, of course. But then I feel like as a striker and as a player, sometimes you have to be selfish and just think about, of course, your growth and your development. Even though I love Blackfield a lot and they did a lot for me as well, I feel like at the time, Portchester, of course, had a big ambition to where they wanted to be and stuff. And I feel like it would suit me a lot as well. So I feel like it was the right time for me to, of course, take the step to Portchester. But I'm very grateful for Blackfield always, and they've developed me a lot as well.
And I feel like Portchester, when you joined them, they were a team going through a lot of ambitious stages at the time. One player I do want to heavily speak about is Lee Watt, as you mentioned there. The stats you were recording, 16 goals between the pair of you in your first 8 games. Unreal.
Yeah, no, 100%. Me and Lee Watt, we're very good friends till this day. And we just clicked. And I've never played. Of course, I've known Lee Watt from Sholing. But when I got the opportunity to play with him at Portchester, it was good because from day one, we just clicked. And then I think my first game for Portchester was against Fareham, the big derby, and I scored in that game as well. And then from there we just clicked, and then it was goals. And then it got to a point where we were turning up to games just confident because we knew we were going to score that day. So it was very good times.
What was it like playing in the El Crico?
No, it was very good. I can't lie. It was probably one of the best atmospheres, like football atmospheres that I've been, especially in non-league.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, especially in non-league. I feel like against the Fareham game, we had like 2,000 or 3,000 people, and it was like a big game. And I was like, wow, it was very good, very good.
Are the preparations different then for those big games?
I feel like it's more like you get more nervous and you're like, because you know it's gonna be like, it's not gonna be 200-300 fans, it's gonna be like thousands, and it's like, of course, then you want to win because people are watching. So it is a bit different. The preparation, I feel like it's different, 100%.
And returning back to Lee Watt as well, you mentioned he was a player that really brung on your career. What was he like off the field as well? Because he was a little bit older than you, so I suppose he was giving you good advice for what you could do and how you can further your career.
Yeah, 100%, especially because we're both from Southampton. Of course, we used to share lifts to Portsmouth. And then, yeah, he used to give me a lot of advice, and I'm grateful for him as well because he helped me a lot, as in what to do and how to do things as well. Because of course I've made a lot of stupid decisions in football and stuff. And then of course when you have like a mentor like helping you, especially someone that scored plenty of goals in the non-league, it was very good for me to help me develop 100%. So yeah, Lee Watt was a big part of my career, 100%.
And now you're at Poole. Obviously, you mentioned about some of the young players there. Do you think you kind of take on a similar approach to what Lee taught you when talking to the younger players now?
No, of course I try, and of course I help the younger players as much as I can. Like I said, I was the same age as them back in my days as well. So, and if I had someone like I did, Lee helped me a lot. So if I can pass my experience and stuff to the younger generations and stuff, I definitely will on try, and I always try and help them 100%.
Well, Rafa, when you did leave Portchester, they had to bring in I think he got to the championship, Brett Pittman. So it just shows what a miss it was. But Portchester, staying on the same note, it looks like they're going to be a club going from strength to strength. The chairman, Paul Kelly, he's invested a lot into the side. How far can AFC Portchester go now?
No, Portchester is a very good team, and they're a team with big ambitions. And Paul Kelly knows where he wants Portchester to be. And I still follow Portchester to this day, and they're first in the league at the moment. I feel like this season they'll actually get promoted. And yeah, Portchester, I feel like they can go as high as wherever they can dream. But yeah, they're a team on the up 100%.
And what's even more crazy, you and Lee Watt, you were scoring loads of goals. I think Portchester that season, they kept so many clean sheets. It was the best in the non-league step 6 or whatever step they were in at the time. But you didn't get promotion. It just shows how good non-league is, even at that stage and even that far down the levels.
Yeah, no, 100%. And when I joined Portchester, like I said, it was in December. And of course, that season, I think we ended it in 5th or 6th place. And because they had a shaky first half of the season. And I was gutted because I was like, I wish I was there from the beginning because it would have been different. But of course, we still got loads of wins towards the end of the season. We just missed playoffs. So we were unlucky that season. But it was a very, very good season, and one that I'll, of course, forever remember.
Well, you would go on to join Bashley. What was the reasoning behind this move?
Now, Bashley was there because I played Bashley when I was at Blackfield, and I scored a hat-trick against them at Blackfield. And then the following week, I scored a hat-trick against Bashley. And then the following week, we played them again at their place, and I scored again. And then, that season, our list was just on fire that season. And of course, as soon as the season ended, and of course, Bashley went from the Wessex Prem to the Southern League. And then, of course, they came in for me straight away. And of course, like I said, I'm a player with a lot of ambitions, and I wanted to push up in the leagues. And then, of course, Bashley came in for me, and it was a no-brainer not to join them.
I'm pretty sure that was the season where they had Matt Tubbs as well, the ex-Portsmouth player. What was it like working alongside him?
Yeah, no, it was good. Of course, he's a player that's played quite high himself as well. So of course, it started with Paul Morris, he's the one that brought me in initially, and then of course Matt Tubbs came in after, and then it was alright. Like I enjoyed it a lot, but of course, at that time there was a lot of ups and downs behind the scenes with the club and stuff. So and then I left in December to join Hamworthy United.
Well, you would have played Hamworthy when you were at Portchester as well. I'm pretty sure it was the same season where Hamworthy got promotion to Southern League, was it?
Yeah, it was. If I'm not wrong, it was Hamworthy and Bashley. They both got promoted.
So the two teams,
yeah. So it was two teams. So it was Bashley and Hamworthy that got promoted that season, yeah.
I'm guessing that's a big reason then why you ended up joining Hamworthy, based from what you saw at Portchester and Bashley even.
Yeah, especially like I said, in my Wessex days, of course, I played against Hamworthy a few times, Bashley and stuff like that. So when they both got promoted, then of course it was quite an easy decision. So as soon as Hamworthy found out that I was leaving Bashley, they came in for me quick, and then I think I ended that season with 16 goals. And then we lost in the playoff final to Sholing.
Oh wow! Yeah. I was going to say, so obviously you would have known quite a few of the players then throughout the whole season. Then it must be weird playing against your teammates then, former teammates at least.
And of course it was crazy, but it was good at the same time because of course I always like playing against Sholing because most of them are local and they live around me as well, so I see them all the time. So every time, of course, there's a game against Sholing, I'm always up for it, and then, of course, it's a good moment, 100%.
And you mentioned about how Bashley, they had issues off the field at that point, and Hamworthy, it was really starting to go out in the press that they were also facing similar issues. Being a player, it must be hard when you've got those sorts of circumstances behind you.
No, of course, because as a player, you just want to focus on playing football. You're not thinking about the behind the scenes and whatnot. But I feel like the higher I've gone now, I've learned a lot that I didn't know in the Wessex League days. So now, of course, there's plenty that goes behind the scenes with football and non-league that people don't know about. So yeah, it was a big thing because even when we lost in the playoff final to Shoalin, I was meant to stay at Hamworthy that year, but then of course I went to Gosport because Hamworthy folded. So I was like, okay, what do I do now? And then of course I started preseason with Gosport, and then of course the rest is history, really.
Do you feel clubs keep a lot away from players that they should know about then behind the scenes?
Yeah, I feel like some teams do, because of course fans only see what they see on match days and stuff, but they don't really see what's going on through the week when we're training or this and that. So yeah, there's a lot. I feel like that teams definitely keep away from fans and stuff behind the scenes 100%.
Well, when doing my research, Rafa, it actually made me a little bit sad reading your leaving statement for it. So when you left Hamworthy, you said, "Thank you, Hamworthy. You helped find my love of the game again." And it almost sounded like you were losing a friend at that point with the club going into real turmoil. Must be hard leaving a club behind at that state.
No, 100%, especially because we're doing so well at the time for Hamworthy as well. We're literally like playing well in the playoffs and stuff like that. And then of course there was issues, if I'm not wrong, with the stands and whatnot, and then of course when it got to the end of the season after the playoff final, we got a message saying that of course that the team's folding, and we had a very good team at the time. That's why a lot of players then went to Wimborne now and this and that. But yeah, it was very sad moment for the club. And then of course I planned on staying there, but of course I wasn't able to because of what was happening behind the scenes. And then yeah, decided to go to Gosport after that, of course.
Well, luckily, Hamworthy, they have had a little bit of a rejuvenation. So I'm pretty sure they're in the Wessex League now. Do you still keep in contact with anyone at Hamworthy?
Nah, I don't really speak to no one at Hamworthy, but of course I've got a lot of them on Twitter and stuff like that. So I always keep tabs on teams that I've been in the lower league and stuff like that. So I always, even though I'm not in the Wessex League anymore, I still keep very close tabs on it and see what's going on around there 100%.
Well, Rafa, we're getting to the stage which I am very looking forward to.
Yeah.
We're getting to the bit where you signed for Gosport Borough. You mentioned you came along to pre-season. Can you tell us about how that even came around, how you even found out about Gosport Borough?
Yeah, it was, the thing is, like I said, when I joined Gosport, I always knew about Gosport when I was at Wessex. I always knew that Gosport was a very good team. And then, of course, when I had the situation with Hamworthy, I was like, oh, wow, what am I going to do now? And I had quite a lot of approaches and stuff from the Wessex League and Southern League. And then I found out that, of course, Pat and Joe were going to Gosport. And then one of my friends as well, Christos, that was doing the trials with me, he was meant to go Gosport. So we were talking and stuff like that. And I said, oh, can you give me Pat or Joe's number? And then I spoke to them. I said, hello, my name is Rafael Ramos. This is where I came from. I'm just trying to come from pre-season. And then, of course, you guys can have a look at me and see what's what. And at the time, I had other offers. Even Portchester wanted me back and whatnot. But then in my head, I knew I could play higher. So, yeah. And then, of course, Pat and Joe told me, yeah, you're happy to come along and stuff. And then, yeah, I was on trials for 3 weeks. And then, of course, they signed me after that.
So you said about having that confidence there, that you had a vision where you can see you could play higher eventually.
Yeah.
How important is it that a player, even like a striker, any player in the position, has a vision, a clear vision that they can go on and do good things?
No, I feel like you just have to believe in yourself. And like I said, because I've always been scoring goals. Everyone that knows me knows that I've scored goals wherever I've been. So, of course, I've always believed in what I can do. And, of course, my friends say to me, oh, yeah, why are you playing Wessex? You can play higher. You can play higher. And, of course, you start believing more. And then, of course, when I had the opportunity to go on trial with Gosport, it was a no-brainer, really. And because I knew I could do something in that league, I just needed the platform. And then, of course, I got Pat and Joe give me the platform. And then, yeah, the rest is history, really.
How enticing was it that Pat and Joe, they were coming in, they were bringing this new philosophy, working under two young managers that hadn't really had too much experience other than with Petersfield beforehand?
No, it was good because, of course, like you said, because they're really young, you never know what to expect and stuff. And then, but yeah, when I came in from day one, at pre-season, they were very welcoming and made me feel really good. Even though I was on trials and, of course, they already had a few players signed, they made me feel very good. And then, of course, pre-season luckily went very well for me as well. So yeah, no, it was very good, and I'm very grateful for them always.
There's one game that really stands out in pre-season, Rafa. I'm sure you know which one I'm talking about. The one where you scored against League One side Portsmouth, who would go on to win the league as well.
Yeah, no, it was I was buzzing for it as well, especially when I knew we were going to play Portsmouth. At least you were like, whoa. But the thing is, I didn't think I was going to start in the starting 11 that game. I knew I was doing well during pre-season. Yeah, I knew I was doing well pre-season, but I was like, oh, am I going to start? Am I not? Because, of course, we played Welling. I did well. I think it was Welling or Worthing pre-season. Yeah, did well.
I think Worthing, wasn't it?
I think it was Worthing, and I scored against them as well. I think I scored every pre-season game for Gosport. And then when I came to the Portsmouth one, which was like the main one, and then they told me that I'm starting, I was literally like over the moon. I was buzzing for it 100%.
And I felt like that was the perfect way to really introduce yourself to the Gosport fans, because I remember every fan on social media after that game was saying,
Yeah.
get this number 18 signed, number 18 trialist. How shortly after did the contract follow?
Yeah, literally, I remember finishing that game, yeah, even though we lost, but we played really well. And I remember going on Twitter and I saw the comments that you're talking about. Everyone saying, "Oh, get him signed," and I was like, "Whoa!" Like it was very, as a player, it's very good, of course, because I knew that, of course, Pat and Joe liked me, but I didn't know if they were going to offer me the contract. And as soon as the game was done, literally, like I feel like it was the next day, next morning, they called me and said, "Yeah, we're going to offer you a contract." So it was quite quick.
Well, it really shows what a game can do. It can even make or break you, I suppose.
100%.
Where does that goal, though, rank in your all-time goals list? Your one against Portsmouth.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably, I wouldn't say number one, but it's definitely up there because it's not every day that you get to play against a League One team that's now in the Championship, and of course start and score. So yeah, it's definitely up there.
Well, to be fair, I think Pompey could do with you at the moment another striker. But going into that season, Rafa, I felt like the visions of the club were pretty mixed, I would say, on social media. So some people, they knew Pat and Joe, they were going to do brilliant, and others were a little bit more sceptical, didn't know what to expect. When you got signed for Gosport and you met all the squad, could you instantly tell that was going to be special, that squad?
Yeah, no, we said it from pre-season. Like, well, even when we were playing the pre-season games and we were doing well, and we were playing, of course, Warvin and Pompey, and we were literally like controlling most of the game and stuff like that against the teams that we were playing. And of course, during pre-season, we were looking at the squad. We're like, whoa, like the signings we've made has been like very good. And then we always said if we play like this throughout the season, we'll be right up there. And luckily, things went our way, and we had a very good season, as you know.
Do you feel it helped being almost a little bit of an underdog with mental side of the game and reducing a little bit less pressure, I suppose?
No, 100%. Being the underdog is always good because teams don't really pay attention to you. But when you believe and you know that you've got a good squad and you think if everyone just puts 100% and do what you do, then of course you get the reward. And we did. And luckily, yeah, we got what we deserve, really.
Well, Rafa, it didn't take you long to get going. I remember you were just scoring goals for fun at some stages in the season. And the fans, they really took to you like a duck to water. I remember 100%. Fans would always be asking for autographs, getting pictures with you. And this must have been like a dream any footballer dreams of when growing up.
Yeah, no, 100%. The fans literally welcomed me so like amazingly. And that's why I said I always take time for the fans because they played a big part of my time at Gosport as well, especially like in the first half of the season when things were really going your way and stuff like that. They still had my back. And of course, when the goals start coming in, they were there as well. So through the good and bad times, they never stopped believing in me. And they knew, of course, what I was capable of. And yeah, I'm grateful for the Gosport fans always.
Well, the fans, they were doing their part being the 12th man. And on the pitch, it looked like the squad had a really good camaraderie throughout the whole of the season. How important is that side of things as well?
No, it was definitely important. And I feel like it's not about the 11 players that you have. It's about, of course, the fans and whoever's around us that's going to, of course, see how far the team can get. And the fans literally, like I said, through the tough times and good times, they literally the noise was the same. Every time we played at Gosport, it was amazing. The atmosphere was amazing, away from home, at home. So as a player, it's impossible not to perform or not to turn up and want to give 100% for the fans and for the club, 100%.
Last season, I felt like Gosport's team was just absolutely unreal. We could get a result, I would say, against anyone personally. So I remember we went to Merthyr. We beat them 4-1, I want to say. I'm pretty sure you got a goal in that game as well. We beat Chesham on the final day of the season. And it just looked like we were the real deal at that stage in the season. If we would have had that squad in this season where there's not really so many, I'd say, favourites for the league, do you feel like we would be in a much better place and even get more likely to get promotion this season?
No, 100%. I feel like last year when we played the top teams, we weren't really scared of them. We just turned up and say, okay, boys, just do what we do. And like you said, like we beat Merthyr last year away and we beat them at home. And yeah, top teams that we played, we were literally like very good. And yeah, 100%. I feel like if we had the same team last year that like this year, I feel like we'd definitely be up there in the top three 100%.
Well, once again, I'm going to link back to that Chesham game. That was the game that really stood out for me last season. I remember it being a frantic game. I think it was a 5-goal thriller. I think you got a goal as well. I remember Alex Parsons scoring an absolute screamer. That game really set us nicely. It confirmed we were getting playoffs. And once again, I bet after that game, Pat and Joe were saying, come on, lads, we can really do it. And there was this real good vision once again that you could go and get something in the playoffs.
Now, 100%, because that Cheshire game was literally a big, big game. Because even though Cheshire had won the league by then, for us, it's like just turn up and it's another game and we need to win it. And then, of course, I think it was, yeah, like you said, it was a 5-goal thriller. I scored and I assisted Master for that amazing goal as well. And then, of course, after that, like, yeah, you just buzzing for the playoffs, semi-final and final. And then, yeah, everyone, the atmosphere and the confidence around the change room was amazing. Yeah, 100%.
Well, we did find out we would be playing Salisbury in the semi-final. Once
Yeah.
again, it was going to be a game of huge magnitude, especially the old rivalry between the two sides.
Yeah, no, 100%. We knew it was going to be a tough game because we played Salisbury twice in the league, of course, last season, and they're all very good games. So, of course, when we found out that we were going to have them in the semi-final, it was very good. Of course, we would prefer it was if it was at home, but yeah, we were looking forward to it 100%.
Well, before the game, you were named Gosport's Player of the Season. How was that mental-wise going into the game? Did that boost your confidence?
No, 100% it boosts my confidence, especially like you said, like being named Player of the Season by the supporters and stuff is it's amazing. So I was buzzing, of course. I was already buzzing, of course, after the Cheshire game. But of course, when you find out that you got Player of the Season, and whatnot, yeah, I was looking forward to that game 100%.
Well, you mentioned I think it was your last point, where you said we were drawn away to Salisbury. I'm guessing that was a big blow, knowing you would have to travel to Salisbury, especially with our home fans.
No, 100%, because we would have preferred if it was at home, because our record at home last year was unbelievable, and I feel like in our day we could beat anyone at home. But of course, unfortunately it was at Salisbury. And of course we got unlucky with the decisions and stuff, whatnot. But yeah, that's football.
How hard was it to take after the game, losing in the manner we did?
No, it was very very bad. And everyone was quite upset and just down. And I don't think I've ever seen our change room like that. Like everyone was just quiet and stuff. Especially because I feel like it was fair the way we lost that game. But it's football. You live and you learn. But yeah, it was not a good day that day.
Older players like yourself, was it important you were the head to lean on for the younger players that had never experienced anything like that before?
No, 100%. Of course, as a older player and stuff, you have to show some sort of maturity and stuff like that. And yeah, of course, I feel like the younger players looked up to us a lot. And yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I agree with you.
What were Pan Joe like after that semi-final as well? Were they more uplifting, or was it once again quite a dampener still, even with those two being quite ambitious still?
Yeah, I feel like even Pat and Joe at that time they were quite upset as well. Of course, because as you know, they were very ambitious and very positive and stuff. And then of course, I feel like it was the manner that we lost that game after giving 100% and stuff. It was just unfortunate. And then everyone. I feel like everyone, including the coaching staff and stuff, was just very upset and stuff that day.
Well, unfortunately, Rafa, you did finish the season, with 28 goals, which was absolutely outstanding. But the
Yeah.
unfortunate bit is you would leave and you would go on to join Salisbury. Must have been
Yes.
tough leaving behind Gosport.
No, of course, leaving Gosport was very, very tough. I feel like it's probably the hardest decision I've made football wise. And then but then of course when the opportunity came to join Salisbury, my goal was always to play, of course, National League South, National League. So I felt like it was an opportunity that I couldn't turn down. But sometimes in football, I feel like you're gonna make good decisions and bad decisions, and probably that wasn't the right decision for me to make at the time. But of course, yeah, I'm grateful for the ups and downs, and of course, yeah.
Well, once again, Rafi, you had a brilliant pre-season with Salisbury, but when you did get into the main season bit, you weren't starting to frequent, and that is why you would go on to leave Salisbury.
Yeah.
Would you say there was quite a bit of nepotism, I suppose, with Salisbury and across the whole board of football as well, with players like yourself, new players joining teams, not starting ahead of those who have been at the club longer?
Yeah, and I feel like the way things happen at Salisbury, it wasn't as what they told me it would be. So when I left Gosport, of course, it was meant for me to come in and play and whatnot. I had a very good preseason, I feel like, and I feel like I deserved much more. But of course, like you said, when the season actually started, I didn't feel like I was given a chance to do what I do, especially coming from the season that I had at Gospel. I feel like I deserved more, and the fans, I feel like they agreed that I deserved more as well. But of course, the management team, they're the ones that made the decision, and unfortunately, things didn't go as I planned. But yeah, I'm still grateful for the opportunity and whatnot. But yeah, that's just football.
So what happens in that stage then where you're not playing? Because I suppose you would have always wanted to move when you weren't getting the game time. Is it hard to find another team without going public?
Yeah, I feel like I feel like it's hard depending what kind of player you are. I feel like me, I'm a player that makes a lot of noise on social media, especially after having the season that I had last year at Gosport and stuff like that. I feel like teams already know who I am and what I'm like, and I've never had any argument or discussion with a manager. Into like Salisbury was the first time that I didn't know how to do things, and it was just hard because I felt like I deserved more. Fair enough, if I'm not, I feel like if I'm not doing well and whatnot, but I felt like I wasn't given a chance to play after preseason, and especially when I had a very good preseason, I feel like I deserved more. But yeah, there's a lot that happens behind the scenes, like I said, that people don't know about. But yeah, I feel like I just deserved more at Salisbury.
Is this where contacts in football really come in helpful? I remember you saying with the Gosport point, you got the offer thanks to Pat and Joe through someone else's phone number. How important are contacts in football now?
Context is very important, especially if you know the right people and stuff. Yeah, it is definitely very important. Especially when I announced that I was leaving Salisbury, I had a lot of offers. A few from National League South, but they were quite far. That's why I didn't go there. And then of course from Southern Prem, I had a lot of offers. And then of course at the time I felt like Poole Town was the right choice for me, the team for me to go. And yeah, I decided to join Poole, but I had a lot of offers. But yeah, contacts is definitely a big part of non-league, 100%.
Why do you think Poole were the right choice?
I feel like I've had the conversation I had with Andy and Steve Tully at the time. They sold the club very well to me and stuff like that. So I felt I felt like it was the right decision for me at the time. And yeah, maybe I should have took some time off after Salisbury to think about it more. But yeah, I feel like I just wanted to get playing and enjoy my football again. And I felt like Poole was the right club for me to go to.
Well, got off to a great start with you, Rafa. I think you got a goal on your debut against Walton and Hersham, so
Yeah.
that must have been a great way to return and really get yourself back into the action again.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because I just literally wanted to get back playing and scoring. But then, of course, yeah, scored on my debut against Walton and Hersham. But I just been unlucky this year with, of course, injuries and stuff with my hamstring, my knee. It hasn't been, of course, the best. But I'm trying to, of course, keep my head up and keep going. But yeah, it hasn't been the best season on a personal level and as a collective, of course, because we're a team. But yeah, I know things will get better. And of course, yeah, that's just the ups and downs of football, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned about having a few injuries. It's probably explained why it's been a very stop-start season for yourself.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like injuries, they're a big part of footballers' lives, and I felt like because I Salisbury, of course, I was fit, and then I came into Poole, start scoring, and then, of course did my hamstring, came back, then did my knee, and then my knee's just been on and off. So some days I'll feel alright, some days they won't. So of course, as a footballer, mentally, it's a battle because you never know how you're gonna feel, and yeah, and especially when the team is in a position that it is, of course, I'm trying to help the team get like to a better position and stuff. And of course, with injuries, there's so much you can do.
Yeah, definitely. We'll look at that point a little bit later, but I want to return to the bit where you were just scoring for fun. So your first 3 games resulted with 3 goals. Annoyingly, one of my favourite celebrations I've ever witnessed in football came against Gosport Borough. Can you just talk us through that celebration?
Nah, to be fair, that was one of the fans that messaged me on Instagram and said, "Oh, can you do the celebration for me the time you score?" And to be fair, unfortunately, it happened to be against Gosport, but yeah, nah, it's just one of the fans asked me to do it, and I felt like, okay, I'll do it next time I score, and then it just happened to be Gosport, and then yeah.
Did you expect it to go so viral on social media?
Nah, I did it to be fair. I only did it because I was like, for the fan, really. He even thanked me after the game and stuff, but then of course. After the game, when of course the club posted and stuff, I just it went big on social media. Yeah.
Well, I hope you have that picture hung up on your wall somewhere. There's a really iconic picture. It looks absolutely awesome. I'll put it on the screen for any fans that haven't seen it. But it's like pretty much what Nkuku's celebration is. You're doing that with a balloon. You've got a black and white background. Awesome.
Nah, yeah, it
Really
was good. It was good. I felt like I couldn't let the fan down. I said, yeah, I'll do it for you next game, and then played Gospel and scored, and then of course it had to be that game.
Well, Rafa, I think you will have to do a custom celebration as well to mark the start of this podcast. So next time you
100%.
score, maybe do a mic drop to one of the cameras.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Oh, definitely. I think that'd be awesome. But hopefully we'll see you score soon. But returning
No,
back to
100%.
Poole Town and the form you've been in recently, I feel like from a players' consensus, it must have been challenging with a merry-go of managers at the club.
No, 100%. And I feel like Poole is an amazing club, But I feel like I said, there's a lot that goes behind the scenes that people don't know about, especially like managerial changes and players leaving and a lot of injuries as well and stuff like that. Of course, it takes a big toll on the team. And of course, but everyone in that change room and at the club wants to win. But of course, things are not going our way, and that's football. Like I said, last year at Gosport had an amazing season. This year hasn't been as good. So of course, that's the ups and downs of football. But yeah, it's a tough time at the moment, 100%.
When it was announced the departure of Steve Tully, I would imagine that would have been a tough one as well on you, considering all the things he promised you and you having to adjust to someone else new again.
Yeah, no, 100%. Especially like I had a good relationship with Steve, and of course, whatever happened with him in the club, unfortunately, he had to go. And of course, yeah, I felt some type of way because I had a good relationship with him. But of course, then I feel like the directors and the chairman know what's better for the club, and they brought Pat and Joe in, which I get along with very well as well. But of course, it was tough when Tully left because yeah, we were going through a not so bad time at the time when he left. To be fair.
Well, I know the departure of Steve Tully would have hurt the boys, but when you found out that Pat and Joe would be appointed, you must have been over the moon considering your past experience with them.
No, 100%. I was buzzing for Pat and Joe to be on board because, of course, they know me well. I know them well. So yeah, I was buzzing for it, and yeah, it's been good working under them again. And of course, like I said, things are not going our way at the moment, but I know when things click, we'll be all right. To be fair.
Was it a shock when you did find out about Pat and Joe joining?
Yeah, because I heard rumors that Pat and Joe were going to come. I was like, surely no, they're not going to leave Gosport because you don't think that's going to happen. But then, of course, when it was, of course, announced and stuff like that, yeah, I was surprised, but I was buzzing at the same time.
Yeah, because I would feel like Pat and Joe, they've had a tough start to Poole life so far. The
Yeah.
stuff they have been doing on the training ground, it looks like it is starting to slowly adjust to Poole Town so far. I mean, I think it's the last 3 consecutive games they've lost by just the 1-0, but you can
Yeah.
slowly see what they're starting to do, Pat and Joe.
No, of course, since Pat and Joe have been on board, of course, training has been better, and of course, we've been doing like things Pat and Joe's way, and of course, it's working. But we've just been unlucky. Like we've like things just not going away, like goals not going in, uh, like decisions and stuff. Yeah, we feel you know how it is when you're going through a tough time. It's hard to come out of it. But yeah, I feel like when things start to click, people will start seeing of course, what Pat and Joe are trying to do. But I feel like things will click eventually, and we just have to believe them and keep working hard.
Do you think it is partly down to momentum, the current form you're on?
No, 100%. I feel like yeah, because the form we're on, I feel like everything will just go against us and things won't go our way. And yeah, I feel like for us to score a goal, we have to do 10 times more. But then I feel like teams will get easy goals against us. But like I said, that's football, and that's just how it goes. But yeah, that's what it is.
It must have been a tough blow losing to Tiverton, but now you are going to be looking ahead. How important is that game against Wimborne?
Nah, yeah, losing to Tiverton wasn't what we wanted. We wanted the win, but we conceded quite early in the game. I feel it was like in the second minute, third minute, and then of
Hmm.
course, as teams will do, they'll just park the bus, and of course, it's harder to kind of score after that. But then yeah, we've got a game Tuesday now against Wimborne, which is a big derby day, and we know what it means. If we win, we're out of the relegation zone. If we lose, then of course stay where we are. But yeah, of course the plan is to win and give it 100%, and hopefully things go our way.
Yeah, definitely. And I wish you all the best for that one. And also, I've had a lot of fans message me about this. To be fair, you might have to help me with this one. I don't really know. But
Yeah.
apparently, there's a bit of a rivalry between you and the Winchester goalkeeper, Luke Kearney. Can you tell us a bit about that? What's happening?
Nah, the thing is, I've got nothing against the guy. To be fair, I feel like it's more between him and Poole Town. Some because I know he used to play for Poole and whatever happened between them. And I saw a lot of negative comments from him towards Poole Town, and then yeah, I just said what's going on, and then of course he decided to come at me. But I've got nothing against the guy. I don't know him personally. I've played against him, yes, but yeah, just he's just a little keyboard warrior, I believe, and yeah, it is what it is. Really, that's what it is. But I've got nothing against the guy.
So, did this just come out of the blue then, or was this something to do with one of the games you played?
Nah, the thing I've never spoke to the guy before, so I don't know where the hatred and all this Twitter stuff came from. But yeah, like he just decided to come towards me with a bill spade and whatnot. But I just find it funny, really. For me, it's just funny, and everyone that knows me knows I don't really get into all that type of stuff. But yeah, I just want to enjoy my football and score goals. That's it.
Well, you have to go and score a hat trick against him when you play
100%.
Winchester. I'm guessing that adds a lot more to that game now.
No, I'm 100%. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I do my talking on the pitch. Like my Poole's going for a tough time, Winchester's going for a tough time. So when we play each other in 2-3 weeks, we'll see what's what. But yeah, looking forward to it.
And I'm guessing that's just the main hope for both personally and team wise now, just to keep Paul up in the league.
Yeah, I feel like especially with Pat and Joe now, they've come to the second half of the season. I feel like the goal now is just to stay up and then of course get pre-season out the way, and then of course Pat and Joe will have more time to work with us and stuff, and then of course focus on next season. But I feel like the aim this year is definitely just to stay up.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like, Paul, you've definitely got the quality to do that. And, well, we wish you all the best with everything. I mean, I quite like it from a little rivalry consensus. I always enjoy Gosport versus Paul.
Yeah.
Also, looking at yourself as well, Rafa, you're still only young. Where does the future lie in terms of your playing career?
For me, I just want literally now. For me, it's just enjoying football and scoring goals, and of course, see where I can go. But of course, I want to go back. My aim is to go back to National League South or National League, and of course, prove that I can score in that level and stuff. But for now, it's just enjoying football, score goals, and yeah, see where the future takes me.
I know it's a long way away, but could you ever see yourself going into coaching or managing?
It's fair. I've never looked into it. Like I've had offers to do coaching, but I never looked at seen myself doing coaching. But lately, in the past few months, since I was at Gosport, I've been more onto it. So I feel like maybe in the future I could get a role into football. I don't know if it's going to be coaching or maybe attacking coach or something like that. But I definitely want to see myself doing some sort of coaching in the future.
And especially working with Pat and Joe, they're probably the peak people to work with if you wanted to go down that route.
Yeah, especially because they're so young as well. So it'll be good to learn from them as well. And of course, if I do eventually want to get into coaching or whatever, then I'm right next to the right people to learn from.
Well, Rafa, it's been absolutely brilliant speaking with you. So we've looked at all of your career, and it's now time to move on to the fans' questions. So I've got about 6 or 7 here that's being requested by the fans. I think you'll enjoy a lot of these, but they may have to think a lot. So the first one, I think this might be a hard one to start with. A lot of players always say this is a hard one. The best player you've played with and the best player you've played against.
Ooh, best player I've played with. To be fair, I think the best player I've played with, Danny Hollins. He was
really? Wow.
Dutch is very good. Like you don't see it, but I train and stuff like the way he's just amazing player.
Oh
then,
wow.
Yeah, and the best player I've played against, I'll say Jordan Roget from Salisbury when he was at Tottenham. I feel like we've always had a good battle, and he was a very, very good player.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, well, I want to return quickly back to Dutchy Hornets before I return to the questions again. What have you made of that appointment as well?
I'm buzzing for him, to be fair, because I feel like Dutchy would be good as a manager, and I feel like it's a very good appointment, especially after Pat and Joe leaving. The fans were probably scared to see who's coming in and whatnot, and I feel like Dutch is definitely the right person to take on Gosport to the next level, 100%.
Well, Rafa, you saved me with that one. I completely forgot about that question, so I won't get moaned at now. This is another interesting one, which I definitely will think you have to think about heavily. What's the favourite goal you've ever scored?
Favourite goal I've scored? To be fair, I think it's the last year when we played Merthyr at home, when we beat them 2-1.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that was a good moment because Merthyr were up there with us, and of course it was at home as well. And I feel like I think we beat them 2-1. Yeah, and I scored one and assisted one. So I feel like that's the best goal I've scored, 100%.
Yeah, I remember that game. It was absolutely brilliant. And this links to my next point. What's your favourite memory so far within the whole of your football journey?
Favourite memory so far? That's a hard one, to be fair. Favourite memory?
This is always the question that gets players, I would say.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what's the favourite memory. It's a hard one, but I feel like my whole time at Gosport, the whole season is like from the moments I had and the fans and everything. Like I feel like that's my best overall memory of everything. Yeah, I feel like I'll just say Gosport. My time at Gosport.
Well, I'm glad you said your time at Gosport for that question, because that also perfectly links to my next question.
Okay.
The whole question that was filling my polls was, could we ever see Rafa back at Gosport?
No, I think you definitely see me back at Gosport one day, because I want to be back myself one day as well. So I don't know if it's going to be anytime soon or in the future, but I definitely want to be back at Gosport one day, 100%.
Well, Rafa, it'd be absolutely awesome to see you sign back from Gosport from a media consensus anyway. Yeah. And Rafa, just to end the podcast, do you have any final words to the audience?
No, I just want to say, everyone, thank you for all the support and love that I've received during my time at Gosport, and even now that I'm not at Gosport. And I appreciate everyone, and much love always.
Well, Rafa, unfortunately, we can't end with the traditional up the borough, so instead, I'm going to end with a mic drop to do it. The celebration. Oh, but like I said, yeah, there we go. We'll see that soon. Coming soon to a Poole game near you.
No,
Oh,
not that.
brilliant. And thanks, guys, for watching.